Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I'm your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live moving color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. And welcome back to another edition of the show. Of course, this is week two of the horror burnout, of course, from Shocktober, October, if you will. And I was up in the air about what I wanted to do with this show because I wanted to do one more week of horror burnout where I discussed, of course, movies that are not horror related. And I decided to take to Instagram and put up a poll. I put up Teen Titans season 2 and 3 reviews, which I was going to go through each episode of each season and the character arcs for, of course, Terra and Cyborg, respectively. And that actually lost out to the main topic of the show here tonight. And that is none other than the Studio Ghibli top 5 movies of all time. And I'm super excited to be doing this, to be honest, because this was something I had wanted to do for the longest time. I always say Ghibli. I'm not positive it's Ghibli or Ghibli, but I just say Ghibli. Studio Ghibli have produced some of the best animated films I've ever seen, and narrowing this down to just 5 was really tough, but I had a really, really good time prepping for this and kind of turning back the clock and kind of becoming a kid again for this past week. So it's been a lot of fun watching these movies again, and it was tough to narrow it down to just 5, but we did just that. We have a couple people in the heezy. Miss C's in the house. Hey, Grande. Hey, Miss C. How are you tonight? Welcome to my graveyard. Hope all is well with you. The Master of Fears here. Good brother Devin. Devin, how are you, man? Hope all is well with you too, buddy. And Falcon Adam is in the house. Falcon Adam, bro, how are you, man? Hope all is well with you too, man. Hope all is going well. Wow, we got a bunch of people in this easy. The Soulless Trench Coats in the hay. Hey, what's up? I love Studio Ghibli. Dude, sit back, relax, ease the seat back because we're enjoying some Studio Ghibli here tonight. Also, you're going to want to see, I got a new Spider-Man comic, and you are going to fucking love it. I got a bunch of actually new stuff that I figured I'd share before I get into the meat and potatoes. A little bit of an appetizer for the graveyard fans here tonight. And without further ado, I guess I could show that stuff before I get into the main topic at hand. I went to this awesome place by me. It's like a retro toy store, and then this other one is a retro gaming store. And I went this past weekend with my good buddy Brian, who I've had on the show a bunch of times. And I got a bunch of new pickups, and I figured I was like, why the hell not show them? And Trenchy, I know you're a big Spider-Man guy, so I have to show you these. First and foremost, this one of my favorite all-time comic covers, and I was super stoked to see this for $1.50. This is, oh yes, the Spectacular Spider-Man, The Predator and the Prey, part 1 of 2. Yes. My favorite all-time Spider-Man villain, as some of you may know, when I ranked the Spider-Man villains, I put Scorpion way over the top. This is one of the most badass fucking comic covers ever, in my opinion. And I flipped through it. I'll be honest, I have not read it yet, but I mean, you got a bunch of fun stuff on this, like Crunch and Munch. And I think you have a poster for Little Big League on the front flap. I think that's pretty cool. Some of the really just awesome artwork in this that I was going through, and I actually want to sit down and take the time to read this. And I don't know, I'm just a mark for old school comics like this. And I saw Scorpion on the cover and Predator versus the Prey. I was like, you have my $1.50, man. I would pay you more too. Like, I don't want to tell them that. I got that, and I also got this really cool Spider-Man 2099 comic, which I love the design of Spider-Man 2099, but I'm not that familiar with a lot of the storylines and arcs. And I don't know, I definitely am a huge Spider-Man fan. So I was like, you know what, let me pick this up. And I haven't looked through this one at all. This one's still sealed. But I definitely want to. I'm going to definitely be reading these two soon. My top 2 are Spirited Away and Kiki's Delivery Service. I get a slight spoiler. One of those 2 is in my top 2. We will a slight spoiler, but not really. Thank you. It is awesome. I did not know how to reach you, Grande, about this, so I'm going to ask here. How would you feel about voicing Scorpion? I would be honored to voice Scorpion. I don't know if I'm the right choice or whatever, but I certainly would definitely give it a go. Matt Gargan, one of my favorite, Spider-Man villains, personalities, just a really fun, over the top villain I always love the design. It's so simple, man. It's just the all green, and they've done a bunch of different adaptations of this, whether it be the Spider-Man PS1 game, and they threw like purple in there, which I actually thought worked. And even the new Spider-Man game for the PS4, they put like this visor on Scorpion. I love it. I think it's an awesome design, but nothing beats this classic all green and almost the pinstripes, almost like the Sandman shirt. But I don't know. I love it. Green is a recurring color when it comes to Spider-Man villains. Doc Ock always had that green and yellow vest. The Green Goblin, of course. Sandman shirt. I mean, green was the chameleon, Mysterio. A lot of Spider-Man villains wore that green. So I was like, you know what? It just nothing beats the Scorpion. I love Scorpion. 2099. Yes. Yeah. See, I don't know that much about it, so I'm interested to read a little story, a little tale from Spider-Man 2099. I'd be really think that would be cool. Dude, at some point, I think I had that same Spider-Man 2099 comic. No way! That's crazy, man. How do you feel about Matt Gargan's Venom? Matt Gargan's Venom. Honestly, I did. That's news to me. I didn't actually know that at all. So that is news to me, good brother. If you want to tell me some of the story arc, I'm all ears. That's really cool. Also, speaking of Marvel, I picked up this really cool Iceman cup. I'm a big fan of Iceman. I thought this was super cool, and I got it for $4. I know that the tag says $5, which you're not going to be able to see, but the tag says $5. This was $4, and it's like brand fucking new. I thought this was really cool, and I absolutely love the Iceman. So when I figured, I'd pour some of this. Of course, we're going to be drinking Dr. Brown's original black cherry on the graveyard tonight. So I'll go ahead. I'll pour some of this in the Iceman cup, if you will. And I figured, I don't know, it'd just be a fun kind of cup to drink out of. I'm a big Iceman fan, to drink icy cold drinks in the glass. I thought that was really cool. So I'm pouring that as we speak. Let me just put a goddamn cap on this son of a bitch. And there we go. Okay, so everybody, I don't know what y'all are drinking, but cheers tonight to you, Studio Ghibli, and the Iceman himself. Rock on, everybody. This black cherry drink is so good, man. I've been drinking it for about 2 weeks now, and it's absolutely fantastic. I love it. I'm doing I highlighted everything. I'm doing a stop motion Spider-Man series, and episode 2 is Scorpion, so I was just wondering if you'd like to voice him in the episode. I would be fucking honored to do that, man. I don't know what audio service I would need, or audio like website I'd have to use, or even if I could record it on here and you just take my voice from it. But yeah, if you want me to, I would totally help you out with that. I'm honored. Thank you for asking. I also got a couple other cool things. I don't know if we have any Pokemon fans in the house, but I got this really cool. My favorite Pokemon of all time is Articuno, and I collect Articuno cards. And I took it off this little sleeve. But this is the card they handed out at the premiere of the movie with the Pokemon birds. I believe it was Pokemon 2000. And this is, yes, Articuno. I don't know if it's going to focus, really. Yeah, it's not really focusing. Focus? No? Okay, well, sorry. Well, it's a pretty cool Articuno card that they handed out at the premiere of the movie to some kids. And I actually, I only saw the first Pokemon movie in the theater with a Pokemon where it was Mew and versus Mewtwo. And I was always jealous of the kids that had the 3 cards, of course, of Zapdos and Articuno. And I always forget the third bird's name, but Articuno has always been my favorite Pokemon. So I picked this up. This cool little place by me, they sell retro Pokemon stuff. So I was like, you know what? Mint condition, can't pass on it. And it has this cool little sleeve. So that's pretty cool. I don't know much about the character, but I do know Matt Gargan had a stint as Venom for a bit, and he went by Agent Venom when he was the character. That's very cool. I think he was a hitman for the government and stuff. That's fucking awesome. Yeah, no, I always loved, like, the whole thing about the Scorpion character that I liked was that they involved J. Jonah Jameson with the creation. Like, Matt Gargan was a, like, private investigator that was private investigating Peter Parker, and he couldn't come up with any results of who Spider-Man was. And then Jonah said, screw it, you're not a private investigator anymore. I'm going to make you into a supervillain, because the ultimate predator to the spider's prey is the Scorpion. And they genetically mutate him, and he becomes the first anti-Spider-Man. Well, of course, Venom is the most popular and probably will always be the most popular. Rightfully so. Venom's a great character. But there's something about this old school classic design, the original Stan Lee story, that I always just fucking flock to. I love it. I know I'm probably alone in loving Scorpion, but I just think it's a really cool Spider-Man villain, and I had to pick this up. Just like, I want to almost put this on the wall. Like, this is just such a bad, like, I ripped this fucking suit off his skin. Like, really cool stuff. It was a cool pickup for sure. along with the Pokemon cards. And then last two, I promised them we're going to get into Studio Ghibli. I'm sorry. I figured I'd share this stuff. Picked up a couple cool horror VHSs. So for my horror fans that are not liking these burnout episodes, I've got a little horror for you. The Faculty on VHS. I love this movie. One of my favorites, of course. I adore this cast. Robert Rodriguez direct. Kevin Williamson wrote the screenplay. Just a great little 90s, neo kind of horror movie. I really love The Faculty. I picked this up for dirt cheap on VHS. And I also picked up, now this is really cool because I've never actually owned this movie before. And this is from 1981. This is the Pan-Canadian Video Presentations VHS of Just Before Dawn. And it's beat up to shit, but I think this is just so freaking cool, man. Like the old school VHS, that red color. It's actually, I believe it might be the cut version of the movie. It says 85 minutes. So I'm not sure if this is cut or not. I haven't given this a look yet, but I thought this was super cool. I was like, yo, I've got to fucking pick this up. This is just too awesome. I love the Canadian cover art of the woman screaming on the blade and then these kids. Similar to a Friday the 13th cover, but I think this is really cool, the Canadian VHS of this. So I picked this up. I paid a little bit too much for it. All the other stuff I showed was like less than $10. This was like $30, but I don't know. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm just, you're only young once, I guess. I have no idea. But let's see. Trying to get Junebug to be Jameson. Oh, he nailed that. The Faculty is such a classic movie. Yeah, no, I love The Faculty, man. I adore it. I love that movie. Yeah, no, same, man. I'm a huge fan of both, and I'm really excited to check those out on VHS. I'm thinking of doing like a retro VHS night, maybe a little Jiffy Pop, if you will, like all old school shit. Maybe some old school candy. I don't know if people remember those little wax sodas where you'd bite the top off, and it was like this just sugar rush that would go down. That was the best. That was like my prime of being a child and shit when I would go to like Hollow Video and stuff like that. Those were the best of times for sure. But okay, that was everything I picked up. Cool stuff. I figure though, it's time, ladies and gents, to get into the meat and potatoes of the evening. It's time to get into Studio Ghibli. Yes, Studio Ghibli. One of my all-time favorite animation companies, of course, founded by Hayao Miyazaki. He is arguably one of the most famous animation directors in the history of the world. And of course, he and his buddy Isao, and I always botch his name, so I want to make sure I get his name right because he's an absolute legend too. Isao Takahata. Absolutely love him. So the two of them, they founded the company, of course, in the mid 80s. And over the past, since then, I mean, they've released some of the best animated movies. And they're a big believer in quality over quantity, right? Because Disney has a ton of releases and they get compared a lot. And I know much to the dismay of Hayao Miyazaki, he takes great offense to it. I don't agree with that. I don't see taking offense to being compared to Walt Disney. I just doesn't. I get why he feels that way, but I don't feel that way. I think they're both great. Like, why can't they both be great kind of thing? But Disney turns out a lot, like a lot of quantity, and a lot of it is quality. I mean, a lot of the Pixar stuff I adore. There's a lot of hand-drawn old school Disney movies that I adore. But the beauty of Studio Ghibli is the fact that they've only had like about 23 movies that are canon in their, studio. And I absolutely think that's amazing. I really do. I really think it's amazing that over 30 years, 30 plus, almost 40 years now, they've only produced 23 movies, and almost all of them are fucking awesome. I've seen almost all of them. I won't lie. There are a couple I have not seen. The Earwig and the Witch, which was their latest film. They turned from 2D animation to 3D animation. I skipped that. I've heard nothing but bad about it. And it's also directed by Goro Miyazaki, who I'm not a fan of. I did not care for Tales from Earthsea. I did not care for From Up on Poppy Hill. Those are some of the weaker Studio Ghibli films. And he just happens to be involved with all of them. Of course, Hayao Miyazaki's son, he just, I don't know, didn't cut it for me as a filmmaker. Miss C says, just curious, anyone a fan of The Skulls? One of my personal favorite movies. I love The Skulls. That's a really good one. And of course, I believe that's from the 90s too. And they made a couple sequels to that as well. I actually really remember liking The Skulls. I haven't seen it in a long time. Never seen it. I might have to, I might have seen some of their films, but I'm not sure if I have. Yeah, no, well, if not, if you have HBO Max, and I don't have HBO Max, but if you have HBO Max, apparently they're almost all on HBO Max. So you can watch them on there if you don't own them. I own quite a few. I have these, I put these over to the side, and I guess I showed off some of these. These, spoiler alert, do not make the top 5, but that doesn't mean I don't love them. Of course, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. This is a fantastic like adventure slash war film, and Nausicaa is just one of the best female leads. I adore Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. It is a little long in the tooth, but it is a damn good movie with just the animation in this is wild. I believe this was 1984. This was the movie he made right before they founded Studio Ghibli, but unfortunately, there was a movie he made before this that is not recognized by the company as being a true Ghibli film. However, this is unofficially a Ghibli film. And depending on who you ask, this is or isn't a part of Ghibli canon. It is, though. This is, I think in a lot of ways, this is like the first Studio Ghibli movie. I look at Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind that way. This is a really, really fun adventure film. I also have, this is a more recent one, I believe from 2013 or 2014. This was a beautiful film too. When Marnie Was There. This is excellent movie, really emotional. I mean, it really got me. But this is a fantastic movie. Again, really beautifully animated. And for a while, this was their last movie for a really long while. I believe almost 6 years until the Earwig and the Witch came out. So this was the last one for a long time, and a damn good movie. I really enjoy this. Highly recommend. Of course, these, like I said, they did not make the top 10, but doesn't mean they're not kick-ass. And this was actually the last film by Isao Takahata. This is The Tale of Princess Kaguya, and probably my second favorite film from him. Of course, the one that I like the best does make the top 5, so I won't spoil that. But The Tale of Princess Kaguya, beautiful movie, absolutely gorgeous to watch. They used a lot of watercoloring in this. They changed up the animation style a little bit, and it is just a spectacle of a movie to watch. I mean, it's gorgeous, all the colors and imagery, and I really loved the color palette that he used with this movie. And what a movie to go out on. I mean, may he rest in peace. Of course, he passed away shortly after making this movie. I thought this was a very strong movie in his filmography because, it starts off great with his first film and it ends great, and then there's a few in the middle where I don't know, like there's My Neighbors the Yamadas, which is I don't know. It's kind of like an average movie for me. Of course, Pompoko, which is super controversial. If you haven't seen Pompoko is this movie about these raccoons, and all of these horrible people are trying to take over their land, and they, with their fucking balls, can like mutate and shit with their balls and fucking I don't know. It's one of the weirdest movies of all time. Pompoko, of course. It's either you love that movie or you hate it. I'm sort of in the middle, but Pompoko, another one that's just crazy. Miss C says, I've seen the original. I didn't know there were other Skull movies. Yeah, I believe there's 3. I believe it's a trilogy. And I don't know. I remember liking the first one the best. Yes, I love the raccoons with the magical balls. Yeah, no, I don't know how they got away with that. Like, I guess in Japan, there's different censorships, like, because that would never go in America. Like, all my fellow Americans, there's no way they would have magical fucking testicles in America. Like, I don't think that would get passed. But, like, as a kid, I thought it was funny, and now I'm like, holy shit, like, how the fuck they get away with that? I guess it's still funny. Here's a quick question for you. What was the first time you saw the Scorpion? I believe it was the PlayStation 1 game. I believe that, yeah, that has to be it. Either the PlayStation 1 game or Spider-Man the Animated Series from the 90s. One or the other. But I love that they both involved, again, J. Jonah Jameson. And in the PS1 game, he's going in, he breaks into Jonah's office, and he's trying to kill him. And the whole mission of Spider-Man is fight the Scorpion while he's literally just trying to murder JJJ. And it's fucking wild. Like, it's a really, really fun boss fight. It's the first boss fight, too. And in the animated series, I really liked it, too. They did, like, a lighter green, a more vibrant green. But I really liked it, too. Either one or the other. I'm betting it was the PS1 game, though, if I had to put a bet on it. But there are also some ones that I guess I don't want to spoil if they are or aren't on the list. But, I mean, Ghibli is just super world famous, and rightfully so, because these movies I mean, some of them have really struck a nerve. And I guess that was a good transition to our first movie of the top five. This is a movie, one of two movies on this list that I would say struck a nerve with movie going audience all around the world, whether you be from America, whether you be from Japan, no matter where you be from. I definitely think this first movie on my top five list, number five, has struck a nerve and a chord with a lot of people. And in essence, it's gone on to become literally the mascot of Studio Ghibli as a whole. You know, Walt Disney, they have Mickey Mouse. And of course, Studio Ghibli, they have from 1988, My Neighbor Totoro. My Neighbor Totoro from 1988. Now, this is one of my favorites. I mean, I love it. And this was very hard to just do. It would have probably been a lot easier to do 10. But then again, if you do 10 and there's only 23, it's like, I don't know, almost by default, some shit makes the top 10. And I just wanted to do top five because I figured quality over quantity, right? Like that's Ghibli's thing. So I figured, why don't I try to follow in their footsteps? Just do a top five, like keep it simple. And My Neighbor Totoro is just a masterful film. I have plot synopsises up here. So I figured, I guess I will go ahead and read them. Granted, that's this movie. There's not really too much of a plot, and that's sort of the beauty of this movie. But I'll go ahead anyway. I'll read the plot synopsis for My Neighbor Totoro. When two girls move to the country to be near their ailing mother, they have adventures with the wondrous forest spirits who live nearby. Yes, My Neighbor Totoro. Now, this was actually came out the same day as a double feature with a little movie called Grave of the Fireflies. And if you haven't seen Grave of the Fireflies, it is a total opposite of this movie. It is absolutely one of the most sad, depressing movies, and we'll get there. But My Neighbor Totoro was almost released side by side with it because people knew that the audiences were going to be sad watching that movie. And My Neighbor Totoro is the exact opposite. It is a very upbeat and positive film. Of course, you have the Fanning sisters, of course, Dakota and Ellie Fanning, playing these two twin girls that move into a new house with their father. Their mother is sick in the hospital. And one day in the forest, the younger sister, played by Ellie Fanning, she finds this giant, like cat, like koala bear creature thing. It's like a cat and a koala bear together. That's at least how I kind of always interpreted it. And they just have these adventures and hangouts with Totoro. And that's really it. There's not really a big conflict in this movie as much as it's a just enjoy yourself type of movie. And that's why I love My Neighbor Totoro. This is a wonderful feel-good movie. And I think in some ways, and I could be reading more into this than there is, I think in a lot of ways, the beauty of this movie is that everybody needs a Totoro. While their mother is sick and in the hospital, Totoro is sort of there for them to play with them and be their friend. And, you know, of course, this iconic scene of them waiting for the bus. They're waiting for their dad to get home from the bus and he doesn't get off and it's pouring rain and the one sister is holding the other on the back. And Totoro just kind of shows up next to her and they kind of look at each other. And Totoro calls the cat bus. And the cat bus has become world famous. This giant cat bus thing with a giant grin. It almost looks like the cat from Cat Dog, like the half of Cat. And it comes and it's this giant cat bus with windows and seats and fluffy floor. And it has become world famous. The fucking cat bus is one of the most famous things from this movie. Almost everything in this movie has since become iconic. And it's really struck a nerve. And a lot of people wonder why. Because there's not that big of a story. There's not a conflict. There's not really a beginning, middle, and end. The entire movie is just sort of a fun, nice, light, easygoing experience. And a lot of people will be turned off by that because when you hear all these raving reviews for this movie, you expect so much. But that's the beauty of Totoro. It's so damn simple. It's just so easygoing. And I love My Neighbor Totoro for that. There's a great scene where the two girls, they're trying to grow these like plants and they put seeds in the ground and they're waiting. And when's it going to happen? Of course, the little girls, they don't have patience. And they go to bed. They're upset that the growing hasn't started. And of course, they open up their eyes during the middle of the night and they see Totoro and his two buddies by the plants and they're doing this together. And the girls run out, they start doing it with them. And all of a sudden the plants start to grow almost by the will of the girls in Totoro doing this. And it starts to grow. And the magic that this movie produces and the wonder on these kids' faces is just you can't capture it even if you tried. It's just so organically done here. And of course, it grows all the way up, and Totoro takes them to the top, and they could see the whole town and city. Of course, with his umbrella, kind of flies the girls around. And I always thought that was maybe a nod to Mary Poppins. Maybe not. Maybe that was just their thing. But that's why I like Totoro. Like, it's very similar to a story of a Mary Poppins or a Nanny McPhee. I don't know if people remember Nanny McPhee. I remember that. Not that's a movie that I grew up with. I actually like Nanny McPhee a lot. Not one that most people would probably remember, but it's similar to that, where kids they don't have something. In this movie, it's the mother figure and this kind of mythical fantasizing creature that comes and hangs out with them and has a good time with them. And it's a really nice, warm-hearting movie. Of course, towards the end, they do throw a small conflict in there with a younger sister, May. Of course, Ellie Fanning, she goes missing because she misses the mother, and she's trying to walk to the hospital, and they can't find her. And Dakota Fanning does a great job in this. And by the way, the Fanning sisters do such a good job in this English dub because they are sisters in real life. So in this movie, they play off each other just like sisters. Like you totally buy it. And it's really good casting, I think. Dakota Fanning turns to Totoro and says, "Listen, you're my only hope. I have to find her. I love her. That's my sister. And I had a fight with her, and I'll never forgive myself if we can't find her." Of course, Totoro finds the cat bus, and they find May, and they sort of live happily ever after. It's a very short film. I believe I can get the exact time on this one. I don't even think it's an hour and a half. This is 88 minutes with credits. I would be surprised if it's an hour 25. Like, this is a very, very short movie. But serves a big purpose. I love My Neighbor Totoro. I think it is arguably Ghibli's, probably their second most important film ever made, and the one that has struck a nerve. I mean, Totoro, people don't realize this, Totoro has become a huge part of pop culture. And I don't know if we have any Toy Story fans in the house, but Toy Story 3, in the background, you can see Totoro, the stuffed animal of Totoro, in that movie. So it even came over into American cinema. Of course, John Lasseter, who's one of the big executives over at Pixar, he saw this movie, loved it, and said, "Hey, I want to absolutely, integrate this with my movie." And there's Totoro in Toy Story 3. And you can't go to a Hot Topic or a Spencer's or any place like that without seeing a Totoro bag or book pack or a backpack or a fucking, t-shirt. Totoro has become a big part of Americana. And I love this movie for a lot of reasons. I think it has a great heart, it has a great message for, younger kids or even anybody, no matter what age you are. There's always, everybody needs a Totoro in their life. And they may not all look the same, but Totoro, the whole presence of him is a presence that we all need in life. And I love this movie for that. My Neighbor Totoro comes in at number 5. I adore this movie. One of Hayao Miyazaki's best movies, in my opinion. And it's funny because I know a lot of people consider it to be very overrated, but I'm not one of those people. I know quite a few flock to Kiki's Delivery Service, which I also love. Kiki's great. And Kiki, if this was a top 10, Kiki absolutely would have made this list. Not one I own, but I do love Kiki. Let's see. Happiness, it burns me. I can't watch this film. It hurts too much. I need suffering, pain, and gore. You wait, good brother. You wait till the number 1 pick. You want suffering, pain, and gore? I'm going to give it to you. Just wait till number 1. It's a fun movie. Yeah, no, totally. Hiss, burns, happiness, bad, hiss. Fashionably late. Ty Junebug is in the heezy. Ty Junebug, cheers to you, buddy. I'm sure you're drinking either Dr. Pepper or Jack Daniels. I don't know, but I'm drinking this awesome Dr. Brown's black cherry soda in this cool Iceman cup that I got. I love the Iceman. So cheers to you, brother June. Let's see. Trenchy says, it's kind of like Kiki's Delivery Service. Both are just about life and kind of shoehorn a big conflict in at the end, but it doesn't take away from the quality. Both very, very, very good. Yeah, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's exactly like Kiki. Like, back to back, Kiki and Totoro, they're both movies essentially with no plot, but they're just so good, man. I really like Kirsten Dunst and Kiki's Delivery Service, of course, the English dub. Unfortunately, I've never watched the subtitle versions of these. I don't know if they're really that available. Like, These are all, I believe, the only options you could watch them in are the English dubs, and they're really well done dubs. Like, you would never fucking know. Like, if you didn't know these movies were initially made in Japan or whatever, you would never know if I didn't tell you. Like, that's how good these dubs are. So don't be discouraged by, English dubbing or whatever. I prefer subtitles too. But with these, I mean, I think some of the English dubs, most of them are really, really good. Although I've read a lot of complaints. Actually, I'm drinking water. Well, he's drinking Halloween H2O. What about that? That's very cool. Well, I love water too. I was drinking a bottle this morning. But with that said, and I guess I sort of spoiled it. I didn't mean to grab the particular one I grabbed, but coming in at number 4, it is from 1995. This is from Yoshifumi Kondo. This is Whisper of the Heart. And in my opinion, the most underrated Studio Ghibli film. There's a lot that people would say are underrated. Of course, When Marnie Was There is definitely one that I find very super underrated. Porco Rosso, I think, is very super underrated. But this one was probably my most underrated when I was doing the prep for this show. And I can do plot synopsis for this too. Granted, I don't know why my computer is not doing the greatest with loading tonight. Granted, this is not the greatest plot synopsis, but I could even read the one on the back of the box. I don't know. I'll just read this one. A love story between a girl who loves reading books and a boy who has previously checked out all of the library books she chooses. Yes, Whisper of the Heart. And a quick story about the director of this, Yoshifumi Kondo. Unfortunately, he passed away not too long after this movie came out. And what's really sad to me is Hayao Miyazaki really handpicked him to be the future of the company. And sadly, this is the only movie he ever was able to direct for the company and just in his career in general. He died at a very young age, unfortunately. So rest in peace, Mr. Kondo. But I'm happy we got this one movie from him. And I think a lot of this movie. I really like Whisper of the Heart. I think it's just a magical movie. Of course, we follow Shizuku, and in this dub, it's played by Brittany Snow, who does a really good job. I like Brittany Snow, and she sort of falls in love with this kid who's kind of teasing her, the not bullying, but like teasing her at school, Seiji Yamasawa. And she falls in love with him because he has the same taste in literature that she does. And a lot of this movie is discussing the dreams and ambitions of young people, and that's why I really flock to it. Of course, our lead, she loves reading. She's teased at school for loving reading so much, and she eventually, about halfway through this movie, decides, hey, I want to be a writer. Like, that's really what I want to do. I love reading. Let me go out there and try to write. And of course, her boyfriend, he's interested in all these other things too, and he wants to go to Italy. And it's a real cool movie about, people pursuing their dreams. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I know people will probably say, Grande, that's fucking sappy. And maybe it is. Like, and this is a sappy movie. I think that's why the people that don't like it, put it down. It's very sappy. It's very like good-hearted, and it's almost like in your face, like feel good. I know people are not going to like that, but I sort of do because I like messages like that. I'm a sucker for them, I guess. I don't know. But I just thought this was a beautiful movie. Of course, you have really cool scenes between the two where they're talking about, should we be together? Should we not? We fight all the time, blah, blah, blah. And the guy is saying, hey, I came to you first to tell you that I was going to go to Italy to pursue my passions. And I just wanted to tell you that, if you move on from me, I'll understand. And it's a lot of good stuff. It's a lot of like young love and shit like that. And I don't know. I really enjoy movies like that. I just kind of flock to them personally. Let's see. I might have missed some, but I did like Vampire D. I recently saw that for Halloween. I saw both of them. Oh, cool. Okay. I've actually never seen Whisper of the Heart. It's really good movie, man. I don't know if you have HBO Max, but it's on there too, I believe. Very highly recommend this one. I said I would do it, Fear. You just give me the lines and I'll record it for you. Oh shit. There you go. Brittany Snow, swing. I love Brittany Snow, man. She's awesome. Good, bad, evil, good. Okay. Well, I promise we'll definitely, we'll get to the bad. It's good to have dreams because dreams keep you going in life. Just like me, I've stopped at nothing to become a great filmmaker on the level of my field making heroes, John Ford, Cecil B. DeMille, etc. Yeah, no, that's, you know, the thing I love about this movie most. It's the story, the classic old school tale of young people dreaming big, and even though they love each other, it's kind of a movie that says go live your dream anyway. No matter who you love, no matter who's with you, who's against you, go out and do what you want to do, you know, and no matter how big the odds may be stacked against you. And I love the message of this. There's a great musical scene where she's actually trying to sing, and you know, Seiji, he's like, okay, here, I'll play the violin, I'll start you going. And she actually sings Country Road, which I'm not a big country music fan, but it's used nice here in this movie. And of course, the kid's grandfather, he comes in with his buddies. They're all playing around in a circle, and it's, again, it's sappy. Like, people probably be like, Grande, what the, you like this? Like, this is just so, like, oh my God, it's so upbeat and positive. But yeah, I sort of do. I think this is just it has a wonderful cheeriness about it. There's also a great scene where she enters this kind of like curio shop, and she sees this cat, and she's like, oh man, this is such an interesting looking piece of jewelry or whatever. And she grabs it, and all of a sudden she's whisked into another world. And just the animation of these clouds in the sky, and the skies are just beautiful in all these Studio Ghibli films. I mean, the color palettes they use, just sensational, especially on high def. This Blu-ray is fantastic. The clouds and the blue and the green grass they're standing on, talking to each other, and this cat played by Cary Elwes, which is a small role for him, but there's a reason they brought Cary Elwes in. They were going to make a sequel, which they did, called The Cat Returns, which isn't half as good as this in my opinion. But Cary Elwes, we're going to fly together, and they fly together in the sky, and we're not gonna make it. And he's like, you just have to believe, my dear. And just, wow, just a wonderfully beautiful kind of landscape they set up in this scene. Of course, that's on the cover of the Blu-ray. Probably the most visually stunning thing in this movie. But when it comes to Studio Ghibli, I know a lot of people, they expect, you know, monsters and creatures and you know, fantasy, you know, and I love fantasy more than, you know, just as much as the next guy. But this one is the most like, well, one of the more based in and grounded by reality, you know, because you could totally relate to this. If you've ever had a dream and felt that you couldn't aspire to it, but wanted to, Whisper of the Heart is a good movie for you. And I don't know, I enjoy this movie. I really think that it's a great feel-good movie. You know, I wasn't sure if I was going to share this, but this was actually the last movie I watched with my grandmother before she had passed away. And actually, I got really emotional. I watched this for show prep this week, and I cried after this ended, because I remembered her sitting with me, and I got so upset, man. But I remember she really loved this. So it means a lot that she enjoyed this movie too. And this was the last movie I actually watched with her. Of all the movies, this was the last one. So I don't know. I was happy that she liked it, and I really like it too. I know, call me sappy, call me over sentimental, but I love Whisper of the Heart. Really good movie, really underrated Studio Ghibli movie, in my opinion. Comments. Now I know your hero, June. Time to dig up some dirt. Because he's evil. Evil man. Yeah, I'm not to drink so much whiskey right now. That's good. That's good. On a Thursday, it's not a good whiskey time. Hey, sometimes you need a good dose of positive. I still like to watch the Care Bears movies, usually with the sound off, but I still enjoy them too. With the sound sometimes, because you need to be happy and stuff. Yeah, no, I agree. I totally, to counter the dark stuff. Yes, exactly. Like, and we'll get to, there's some dark stuff on this list. Like, it's not all overly sappy. Like, is one, I guess if Whisper of the Heart is the most sappy, we will get to the most not sappy one. But you know, I agree. You need a little bit of a counter. You need a little bit of a, like, after I watch fucking Funny Games or fucking The Human Centipede 2, I need to watch some fucking Bugs Bunny or Tom and Jerry or SpongeBob, or like a good cartoon where I don't have to think about all this horrible, heinous shit. Like, that's, I don't know. I think everybody needs that happy balance. And I know a lot of people like one over the other or vice versa, but I don't know. I like to mix them sometimes. You can get some interesting results. Hey, you know, it's good to have a proper balance of those dark movies and sometimes those sad movies, because sometimes you need a little positivity. Exactly. And that's a big reason why I'm happy I'm doing this horror burnout show is, you know, and I trust me, there's nothing more I love to discuss than horror movies, but I'm a giant film fan. It's not just horror that I love. Horror is my favorite, and it will always have the special place in my heart. Not just a special place, but the special place. But I really I'm a big film fan in general. So covering these movies was always something I thought about doing, and I was like, I don't know if people would ever really be interested. And when I did this on Instagram, the overwhelming amount of votes for this, I was like, people want to see Ghibli. Like, that's really cool. So I decided to do that, and I'm happy I'm doing this tonight. So it's really, really cool to be switching it up. But we are diving into the top 3. I know it's crazy how fast this can go with the top 5 as opposed to a top 10. Top 10, Kurt Russell. We were here for almost 2 hours. This, I don't know. I mean, we're already at number 3. It's pretty crazy how it goes. Hey, there's a reason I call myself a self-described film historian. I've spent most of my life studying film. Yeah, no, and that's the whole thing with Whisper of the Heart too. It's our lead. She spends her whole life reading and enjoying literature from others, and she's almost discouraged at first to try it on her own. And when she does, she's afraid of failing. And the old man who owns the curio shop, he sort of tells her, he's like, listen, nobody's going to be perfect on their first try. He goes, have fun doing what you're doing and enjoy what you're passionate about. Don't let anybody hold you back. And I think it's just a beautiful message to give to children and adults and everybody all around. It's a great movie for like young youths, like teen youths. I would say like middle school to high school. It would be a really good movie to show somebody of that age demographic. I think they would like, if I saw this when I was like 16, I don't know, maybe I would have went to film school. Like, I don't know, like, because it's a very inspiring movie. Although some people say it's very overly sappy. Sometimes the greatest lesson we can give it ourselves is lesson of failure. Yes, and everyone is going to fail at some point in their life. It happens. Nobody's perfect. I love when you talk about horror, but I especially love when you talk about non-horror. It's just a fun change of pace. Yeah, no, I've heard, I know Gideon has told me that. And it's funny because Gideon and I, we always mostly talk horror. But I remember when I did the Teen Titans episode, he was like, you should do this all time. Like, he was like, I love hearing you talk about, other nerd stuff. And I was like, hey, man, I'm a nerd at heart, so I love anything like this. This is really cool. Peter Parker gets moments of happiness, but there's always the goblin there to take it away. Yes, R.I.P. Gwen Stacy. All about the Utes. Ben Grimm, hey, what's going on, man? Hope all is well with you tonight, man. Hey, Ben. Wow, speak of Gideon, he shows up. Failure is beautiful. Again, I don't know if you were here, but I was mentioning how, you like when I talk about other stuff that's not just horror movies. And that, of course, is tonight's show. Bloodbound Production. That's so crazy. We spoke of him and he appears. Very cool. But diving into the top 3 now, of course, this is from 1985, I want to say. Maybe 1986. We're around there. For a while, this was my favorite one. And it was tough when I went to make this list. It fell down to number 3. But these top 3 are like unequivocally my favorites. Like, if I watched these 3 for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. Like, these are the last 3 kids films I could ever watch. It would be awesome rest of the life. But this is another one from Hayao Miyazaki. This is Castle in the Sky. Yes, Castle in the Sky from 1985 or 1986. That's what IMDb. I just pulled up the IMDb to make sure. So it's February of 1986. So close to 85, but whatever. A young boy and a girl with magic crystal must race against pirates and foreign agents in a search for a legendary floating castle in the sky. Yes. Castle in the Sky. I'll never forget the first time I watched this movie. This was actually the first Studio Ghibli movie I ever was introduced to. I watched it late night on, I want to say it might have been Turner Classic Movies, weirdly enough, that had this. And I fucking loved it from the minute I watched it. Like, I thought it was just a wonderful movie. And to me, it's like one of the pinnacles of 80s fantasy adventure films. Like, we have movies like The Never-Ending Story, which to me, for my money, is like America's greatest, even though I know it was directed by Wolfgang Peterson, who's not American. But, The Never-Ending Story is a movie I've always loved. And this one's right up there, too, when it comes to 80 fantasy adventure movies. I just adore Castle in the Sky. I love Anna Paquin as the lead, Sheeta, and then, of course, Patsu. It's a great opening to a movie. Of course, it's this crazy shootout on this giant blimp in the sky, these pirates and This crazy, lady played by Cloris Leachman. She's the lead of these pirates. And then all these kind of other people that work for the villain in this, who's played by Mark frickin' Hamill. Mark Hamill plays the villain in this, and he does an excellent job. I just love Mark Hamill. Anytime he's portraying a villain, I mean, whether it be the Joker or this movie, I love him in this movie. They're all fighting each other over Anna Paquin and this amulet that she has. And they corner her, both parties corner her, and she jumps off of this blimp, seemingly to her death. And of course, she faints, and then this kind of amulet saves her from falling. And then that's where you have this cover. This is right at the beginning of the movie where Patsu kind of puts his arms out, catches her, and the rest of our movie sort of plays out where these two sort of slowly but surely fall in love, and they dream to see this castle in the sky that, may or may not exist. Of course, some believe it never did. Some believe it do. And you have just this great adventure movie. This is like pinnacle 1980s, fun adventure movie for the whole family to enjoy. And it has a wonderful, once again, animation style. I love the animation style in this. The castle itself is beautiful, and they have all this kind of shrubbery and green and all of this stuff. And there's this robot that's in the castle, and there's a beautiful cinematography shot where he hands Sheeta the flower. And it's just great. It's this great, cool, like kind of metaphoric, symbolic scene of the technology of the future handing this girl, nature of the past. And it's a gorgeous shot to look at. And I don't know, this is just one of those movies. It has so many fun sequences. There's a sequence on these trains where these pirates are chasing Sheeta and Patsu, and it's just really fun. They're going track to track, and it's really intense. Of course, there's a scene where Mark Hamill, he, is holding Sheeta captive and cutting all these promos that there may be long lost cousins, if you will. He's a lot of fun in this. This is a kind of over the top villain. But this is just a great movie. I thought, oh, wait a minute. I don't want to, I know I missed some comments. Let's see. We summoned Gideon. Yes, we did. That's crazy. I am forever, John. A head in the jar waiting for the call. Dude, you really are, though. I thought seeing a June bug making films would be the weirdest thing I would see, until I saw a goat wearing a trench coat. Oh, shit. Yo, that was OD. That was freaking OD. Just remembering, and the Oscar goes to Ty Romulus Nyberg. Oh shit. Mark Hamill also played the Hobgoblin. Yes, of course, the Joker. Mark, also, yes, he's Luke Skywalker. Totally. Everyone knows that. Mark Hamill is. But I love this movie. I think it's just so creative and imaginative and crazy. John Lasseter, who I was talking about before, he's a great friend with Hayao Miyazaki. He considers this his favorite movie of all time, which is just wild. Like, of all the movies ever made, he loves Castle in the Sky the best. And I really can't fault him. I mean, this is a fucking masterpiece, in my opinion. I love Castle in the Sky. Just a great time, a great adventure. And I love the battle at the end with Mark Hamill. He's cornered Sheeta, and she hands the amulet to Patsu through this kind of like crack in the wall. And they together, through the power of the amulet and the power of their bond together, kind of overcome evil. Like I was saying before, Cloris Leachman is the lead pirate lady. She's a lot of fun, very colorful character. That's the thing about this movie. It has very colorful characters. And that's the beautiful thing about Hayao Miyazaki. Not all of his films are going to have the biggest plot in the world. Granted, this one does. This one does have a nice story and plot and payoff. But I think the main draw to a Miyazaki film is the characters and the color palette and the animation, and all those things kind of work together to kind of create this very special charm. And I think that Castle in the Sky is one of the great charms in the history of the company. I just love the charm of this movie. I think it's just absolutely sparkles off the screen. It really does. And I enjoy all the dubbing here. I know this is, of all the ones that the English dub exists for, this one seems to get the most hate. People cannot stand Anna Paquin. I don't understand why. I love Anna Paquin. I thought she did a great job. James Van Der Beek, I thought, did a great job as Patsu. I thought the two were great. And probably my favorite scene in this movie is when they land on the castle itself. Like, they fly into the castle and they look, and there's this great spectacle of the castle in front of them. And Patsu's kind of holding her up, and they start laughing. They fall on the ground together and kind of just look up and admire the beauty that is before them. And I think that's, almost, poetic as to what and why I love Studio Ghibli. Sometimes it is just that. Sometimes it is just laying back and enjoying the beauty that stands before you. And that's a big reason why I love Castle in the Sky. To me, it's like one of the best adventure films of the 1980s. Really beautiful movie. I highly recommend Castle in the Sky. Another great, great Studio Ghibli movie. Let's see. Comments here. Love of my life. You've hurt me. You've broken my heart. Bring it back if you take it. Oh my gosh. Never forget that one time Norman Osborn was Hobgoblin for some reason. And it's a good thing my film company is not Junebug. It's Junebug. Okay. I'll say, okay, wow. Okay, you guys are going at it in the comments. So I will let you continue there as we move on to number two. Number two, I've got to rewatch Castle in the Sky. Been a while. Highly recommend. Another really great movie. One of my faves. But I said to you, Trenchy, one of those two was in my top 5. It's not Kiki. The next movie coming in at number 2, and a lot of people will be mad at me that this isn't number 1, but this is, I honestly, this is my personal preference ranking. It falls one movie short of the top spot, which, I mean, still being number 2 on the Ghibli list is it's fine. Like you still have accomplished a lot. This is from 2001. This movie celebrated its 20th anniversary, I believe, just a month or so ago. Once again from Hayao Miyazaki. And I think this is the film that has struck a nerve in pop culture, in society, in America, in Japan, in all the countries that have been able to view this movie. I think this is the Ghibli movie that is most important. And I think that most people will consider this the magnum opus of Studio Ghibli. And it is from 2001. It is Spirited Away. Spirited Away. I mean, absolute. I mean, I can't argue when somebody says this is the magnum opus and that this is the greatest movie that this studio ever produced. And I really understand where people are coming from with that, because this is a masterpiece. I actually have a fun anecdote with this. My grandmother, again, she brought this home for me in, I believe, 2002. After this had won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. Also, the only Studio Ghibli film to ever win the Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. No other Ghibli film has, unfortunately, which is insane considering the quality they've turned out. But this is the only Oscar that the company has ever taken home, and rightfully so. This is an amazing, amazing movie. She brought this DVD home to me. This is the Blu-ray, of course, but she brought the DVD home, and she was like, hey, this won a lot of awards. Watch this. And I will never forget the first time I watched Spirited Away. The first opening, 10 minutes, scared the fucking shit out of me. Like, to this day, it's hard for me to watch the opening of this movie. And if you've seen it, you know what I mean. Of course, Sen and her parents, they kind of stop by what they think is a, abandoned theme park. And the parents, they sit down and they see all this food being served. And the parents are like, oh my God, I'm hungry. I could go for some food. The parents start eating. And they turn into these giant pig boar things. And Sen is like, oh my God, like, Mom, Dad. And that really sets up the entire conflict of the film. Whereas, Sen must get a job and earn money in order to release her parents from this curse of being a pig. That scared the shit out of me as a kid. I don't know why. It really fucking horrified me. And I remember my first time my parents had either Chinese food or Japanese food, I was scared that they were going to turn into pigs. I was like, Mom, Dad, don't eat that fucking egg roll, Mom. I don't want you to turn into a pig and I'm going to have to get a job in a fucking bathhouse to save your ass. Like, I don't want that to happen. Like, I'm fine without having a job being fucking 6 years old, I don't know why that opening, I had to mention that always scared the shit out of me. And I remember my grandmother being like, and I thought I picked a winner. And I was like, no, it was a great movie. But that opening, Jesus, it scared the shit out of me. Like, absolutely scared the crap out of me. Animation is such an amazing art form. You can do so much with it, and with so little, tell any message, convey any emotion. And that's, I mean, we're going to get into it with this movie when it comes to conveying messages and interpretations. This movie really is it. Spirited Away is amazing. I love it. It's like Alice in Wonderland, but deeper and more bizarre. It's my favorite Ghibli and anime movie. It just hits for me on all cylinders. Yeah, no, this is one of the pinnacles for anime. Oh, it's funny you mentioned Alice in Wonderland, because I was going to make a brief point on that. I made sure to pull out this Blu-ray. You know, these two movies to me are very similar, but the beauty, I think, is Spirited Away is a much more complex version of Alice in Wonderland. Like, Alice in Wonderland is a movie you could turn your brain off and just kind of enjoy the bright colors and, you know, the Mad Hatter and all these things. And I love Alice in Wonderland for that. But to me, Spirited Away is a much more complex and deep version. And in some ways, it's even fucking more ambitious. It's an incredible work of art. It really is. I need to watch more Ghibli films. I've never really grew up with them. I could never get into anime even when I was a kid. Yeah, you know, I've read a lot that people who love anime, like anime shows and series, don't care for Studio Ghibli movies. Now, people probably be shocked, but that is apparently a big thing. Like, people don't enjoy, you know, for whatever reason, the stories of these. I don't know. I don't know how people could not like these. I don't. But there is a ton of people that don't, unfortunately. But if your number one is what I think it is, I don't blame you for it. Yeah, I definitely, I think people will probably be able to figure out what I have at number one. I would just kill my pig parents for food. Holy shit. Well, I don't know about that, man. That would be pretty horrible. Funny thing is, it's Sen's voice actress also played Lilo and Samara in The Ring. Yes, that's something Chase. Her last name is Chase. She plays, and all around the same time. I believe The Ring was 2001. I believe Lilo and Stitch was around 2002. So we're all around the same time. She made Lilo and Stitch, a Disney classic, Spirited Away, the Studio Ghibli classic, and The Ring, which is like one of the better remakes that America's ever turned out. So 3 absolute hits, and all 3 of those movies made a dumb money. I believe this movie made close to $400 million, which is insane. Then I would just lower more people to food, so they would also turn into pigs. Then those people would be food for me. I don't know. In the English dub. Yes. And that's this version that I have right here. Yes, Spirited Away is way more deep and complex. And the fun thing about it is there are no clear good guys and bad guys. Everyone is gray. That's why I think this is so much more of a complex movie, because like what you were saying with tones where it'd be black and white, this movie, even though it's colorful as hell, it is a lot of black and white. Like the Queen of Hearts, she's the clear fucking villain. You know, the sorceress in this, she's not really a villain. She's a little tough, she's a little rude, but a villain? No, not at all. And you meet so many colorful characters in this, whether it be the guy working with the, like, next to the fire pit and the coal with all of these arms, just a beautiful imagination of this character that just pops off the screen. You see that, and you can never forget it. And he's kind of trying to take care of her, you know, take your shoes off and get comfortable. You know, you need to get a job. Of course, Haku's character, I love him. I think he's just such a really likable character. He turns into this dragon creature, similar again to movies like Neverending Story, that kind of the Falcor dragon. It's very similar design, but again, it has its own unique spin to it. This movie just, it's so grand. Of course, No Face, which has become so popular in pop culture. Of course, this kind of demon spirit with this, you know, very monotone face that eats people and has all this gold and all this stuff. And it's become world famous. I mean, again, like I was saying before, how you see Totoro everywhere in pop culture, you see No Face everywhere. I mean, it's such a popular character. It really is. It's incredible. I do know that Michael Eisner was the greatest Terman of Disney after Walt Disney really pushed for Ghibli to get America, so we have Michael to thank. Actually, I believe it was John Lasseter that really pushed for Ghibli's release in the United States, because Lasseter's best friends with Hayao Miyazaki, and he's a big executive with Disney and Pixar. So I believe it was John Lasseter. I kind of like stories with characters that seem like assholes but turn out to be broken people who can redeem themselves and turn out to be cool. I like those too, for sure. okay, you mentioned that again. Give Junebug the food, then he would turn into, oh my goodness. Oh no, don't give Ty Junebug this food. But once again, talking colors and just absolutely beautiful in this movie. I will never forget the scene where they're teaching her how to work, and you're introduced to all of these other people, either customers or workers at this bathhouse. She's on the elevator and just looking around at all these. You almost sit back and wonder, and you're like, how the hell did he fucking think of all this? Like, just look at all these animation styles for these characters. I mean, they're just so unique and interesting and cool to look at. Very interesting stuff. Of course, you have the three heads that jump around the sorceress's office, and it's a really nice movie. I really enjoy Spirited Away, and there's so many deep themes in this of a kid having to get a job in this other world. And I would say that this is the most ambitious world that Studio Ghibli ever created. It's just there's so much to it. It's so grand. It's so big. And really, most of what we see is just in this bathhouse. We don't really see all that much else. Of course, we do when we get on the train, which is possibly the greatest scene in any Studio Ghibli movie. But it's just, they make you feel so grand without even showing you all that much. And that's a true testament to Hayao Miyazaki as a filmmaker. This is definitely his best movie, in my opinion. I love it. Of course, I guess we can talk about that train scene because it's been so, talked about to death, and people would probably like to hear, other interpretations, because everybody and their mother has an interpretation of that scene. I think, ever since the first time I saw this, I've always had kind of the same feel about it. There's so much of this movie throws at you, even if you're a young kid, like, all of a sudden your parents are turning into pigs. You go, all of a sudden you have to get this job in order to save them eventually. You're sad, you're scared, you're alone. Everyone's a stranger. You have this, one character, Haku, that comes by every now and again. But, you're alone in this world. And so much is thrown at us. But I think, the one beautiful thing about this is the scene where they say, hey, we're going to go see the sorceress's sister and go on this train. Her and Ghostface and a couple other, like, these rats, they get on this train, and for a while the movie just kind of slows down. It just plays this somber music as they're going from stop to stop, and you see all these kind of spirits, these people getting on and off the train, and this iconic shot of the two of them sitting on this train, not saying anything. There's no dialogue. There's just this somber music. And I think in a lot of ways, it's almost a commentary on what life is. And that's just my interpretation, but, I'll explain. We're always throwing so much. It always feels like there's something going on. But sometimes there's just that ride home or that ride elsewhere where kind of turn our brain offs and we go on autopilot. And, it's absolutely just, I think really deep to kind of present this to somebody so young as Sen's character, or Chichiro. I know Sen is the name that she's given there. But I always thought that was just such a beautiful scene of, Sen and Ghostface, not Ghostface, No Face sitting on the train, just kind of going on autopilot. Amazing. Very simple, but so damn effective. And I've heard so many different interpretations of what people think that scene is, and the people getting on and off the trains. Are they souls? Are they this? Are they that? I don't know. But it's all up to interpretation. That's the beauty of this movie. And it's such a wonderful imagination and ambition to it. And everybody that watches it, I think that's why it strikes a chord, is because everybody can have a sort of different adventure with it. And I know my cousin, she loves this movie, one of her favorite movies. I actually treated her back when they did Ghibli Fest, like 3 years ago before COVID. We went to go see this the night before Halloween. It was October 30th. We went to see this on the big screen together. And I remember being in this packed theater to see this movie. And just everybody, when it ended, just standing up and clapping, because that's how fucking great this movie is. 20 years later, and it's still being interpretized and analyzed and all of these things, and enjoyed by kids of all ages from all different places in the world. And I think Spirited Away is the magnum opus of Studio Ghibli. I really do. I think it's, arguably one of the best animated movies ever made. And I love Spirited Away for that. Let's see. Why does Grande look like he's in his 40s when he has a beard, but then when he shaves, it looks like he's 18? Where's the logic in that? I don't know. That beard was just because of blood thinners, so I don't know. I certainly I like being clean shaving much better. Well, even Haku is kind of sketchy and has his own complexity too. Him, where you think he's straight up good guy at first, and then you find out he's a little bit more complex and darker than that. Yes, and the fact that like there's a scene where they show the gore, like he was being attacked by those paper things, and he gets all cut up, and oh my god, your heart goes out to him in that moment. But I love the scene of the two of them in the sky, holding hands and looking into each other's eyes as they kind of spin towards the ground. Just beautiful. Just like what a great, ambitious fucking movie. Like Spirited Away, every time you watch it, my friend CJ said this actually to me last night, and I agree with this wholeheartedly. He said, I can't explain why, but I'm so happy as the journey comes to a close. Even though I'm sad that it's over, I'm just so happy that I was able to experience the journey that is Spirited Away. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't even know how to explain it, but it is you have a happy feeling. Wait, I did not know Ghostface was in this. Hello, joke. Yeah, no, I meant to say no face. Hey, Grande, have you ever seen the 2005 movie Mirror Mask? I have not. Is that anime? If so, let me know. I would definitely love to check it out. Well, that's the greatest gift movie can have is time, because time, the biggest flop in the world, could become the next big classic. There's many examples of that in Hollywood. Yeah, definitely. And it's just, to me, it's wild because I remember this being big when it came out, but it's still fucking huge. Like, and I think this will be like, I think honestly, 50 years from now, this will be still be a big talked about movie. It's just, it really is. It's one of the iconic anime and just movies, period, movies of our time. I think Spirited Away is an absolute masterpiece. And the Oscar goes to Junebug Films' bathroom scene in any film. Oh shit. LOL. No, that would be Dumb and Dumber Fear. Yep. I haven't seen it. No. I love Spirited Away. I think one of the magnum opuses of Hayao Miyazaki, the magnum opus of his career, in my opinion. So I absolutely love Spirited Away. Spirited Away at number 2. That brings us to number 1. And I know a lot of people that will tell you this is a great movie and give it its credit. I know a lot of people also that have a very hard time watching this movie, and I can understand why, because it may just be the saddest film ever made. And I've seen a lot of films. This has got to be up there with the saddest movies I've ever seen in my life. Coming in at number 1 from 1988, this is Grave of the Fireflies. Grave of the Fireflies comes in at number 1. I think this might be the saddest movie of all time. Like it really, truly may be the saddest movie I've ever seen. I can read a brief plot synopsis once this loads. Also interesting that it wasn't G Kids that put this out, different Blu-ray company, which I thought was weird, but I'm not actually sure why. Teenage boy Seita and his young sister Setsuko are left homeless and effectively orphaned when their city is firebombed by U.S. bombers. They end up living with their aunt. Initially, things go well, and life seems most normal again. However, their relationship with their aunt deteriorates, and Seita and Setsuko decide to leave and fend for themselves. They find a place, and things seem good to go all well. However, over time, food gets scarcer, and life becomes a constant struggle for survival. Why do fireflies have to die so soon? Yes, Grave of the Fireflies. Master of Fear, when you were talking before about pain and suffering, this is pain and suffering at its finest. This is the saddest, arguably the saddest movie I have ever seen in my life. Of course, the plot synopsis is Seita and Setsuko, brother and sister. The film opens up with them. And they actually tell you, it's the first line of the movie is, Seita saying, we died on this date. So we know from the word go, these two characters are not going to make it. However, that does not take away from the impact that this movie leaves on you and how deep in your heart this movie will hit you. Of course, you learn early on that their mother has passed away. She died in the bombing, and the brother Setsuko, Seita, he sees the mother's body, and she's all bandaged up. It's horrible. he decides not to tell Setsuko. He doesn't want her to know. They move in with their horrible aunt, who at first, again, things seem okay, but she starts nagging on them and really, being absolutely terrible. I mean, just terrible to them. And of course, Seita says, you know what, Setsuko, we're leaving. And they find the shelter where they try to, pretty much fend for themselves and survive. They're trying to make their own food. They're trying to build their own shelter and kind of just get by through the war times, since their mother has passed and their father is fighting in the war. And this movie just hits me right in the feels. It's just so sad. It's almost a commentary on everything that was going on around that time. And a lot of people will say, oh, Grande, that's an anti-war film. Not really. And I know a lot of people go, how are you stupid? No. And hear me out here. I don't think this is an anti-war film. I think this is a movie about the horrors of elsewhere during the war. The people that we may not remember. We remember the people that died in the bombings and all these things. But what about the people that lost those in the bombings and like these two characters here that had to fend for themselves? And I think it's almost a commentary on Japan as a whole at that time, because Setsuko, she's dying of starvation and malnourishment. And this doctor, he sees her and says, she just needs food. That's all she needs, and she'll be better. And he just carelessly sort of pushes them aside, like, next, almost as if they were objects and not people. And, that's a big thing. And also this aunt, like, no matter how great or horrible or whatever your aunt is, they have to realize you just lost your mother. Like you can't be acting horribly and treating these kids like dirt. And she really does, which forces them to leave. And a lot of people say it's a big commentary on swallowing your pride. If, Seita had just swallowed his pride and stayed with the aunt and stuck it out, maybe in time when the war ended, they could have just moved on. But I understand where Seita's coming from at the same time. And a lot of people disagree with that, but I understand. It's not easy to swallow your pride, especially in a situation like this, where your mother's gone and you fear for the worst for your father, and you have to take care of your little sister. And, I love that Seita teaches her all these things, that, the war is not going on. This is not all bad. And you learn that this child, Setsuko, she really only ever knew how to enjoy the little things of life. And that's what all kids should do. They shouldn't be aware of the war. They should be naive to it all. And I love how he tries to take care of her. He sings her songs. He plays the piano with her. He gives her these fruit drops. And at one point they're running out and she's crying, I want fruit drops. He takes them and mixes them in the water and she drinks, and it's all kinds of tastes. And yes, it is. So just a really nice brother-sister angle in this movie that I really enjoy. I love the chemistry between the two. And it's heartbreaking. It really is a heartbreaking movie. I might have missed some comments. If I did, I'm sorry. Man, it must be like a lot of my scripts that I scrap really depressing. It is. It really is depressing. The most fucked up thing I've seen, if you brighten the colors on the movie poster, you see bomber planes behind the clouds. It's chilling as hell. Yeah, no. It's a beautifully made film. Like, there's a lot of scenes of them. They're riding a subway, and you can see literally red bombs and just this red tint. The whole movie sort of has this nice, beautiful red tint behind them. Of course, some of the scenes where they're looking at the fireflies, they're playing with the fireflies. There's this great, I use the thumbnail of this, of Setsuko seeing these fireflies, this nice, beautiful green and yellow color. It's a gorgeous film. I actually wish they would do a 4K of this, because this movie could use a 4K. Yeah, they hold no punches from the very beginning. No, they really don't. Yeah, I know, but was hard times. But the aunt was extremely harsh on like a 5-6-year-old girl. Like, no, total bitch. The aunt in this was a total bitch. And at first she's like, if you don't like my cooking, make your own. And they do. And then she's like, oh, they want to use their own stove? Is that to spite me? I'm like, bitch, like, what, you want them to eat their own, cook their own food on your stove? Like, you just had a problem with everything. And it's another, I think it's totally them saying, family is not there for you. The doctors are not there for you. Nobody's there for you. You only can help yourself. And that's such a scary situation for a 14-year-old kid to be in. And nevertheless, having to take care of his 4-year-old sister on top of it. And, it's just heartbreaking. There are scenes where Setsuko says, Seita, here, have a rice ball. And it's literally just a ball of dirt. And she's eating it. He's like, stop, that's not food. And she's like, yes, it is. And she's almost delirious as this movie goes on. She's completely delirious and, losing her mind because she's not being, malnourished. And it's heartbreaking to watch. It really is. My favorite scene, though, in this is Seita, he comes home with a watermelon. And, Setsuko she's barely hanging on at this point. And he says, here, I got you watermelon here. He opens it up and he tries to feed it to her. And she kind of falls asleep. And he pushes her and stuff. And you hear a voiceover saying she never woke up. And they play this beautiful music called Home Sweet Home. It is possibly the most beautiful song ever written. It's beautifully performed in this. As we see some of the happier moments of people arriving back, the people that survived back, and these kids running up and having a good time in their houses, as we see the final moments of Setsuko. They play this music and you see her playing and making rice balls out of dirt, which is just horrible and sad to think about. We see all of these things and we see how innocent youth is and how innocent, Setsuko was. And to me, it's just it instantly makes you fucking tear up. It really does. It's one of the saddest, most well-executed scenes I've ever seen in a movie. It's absolutely brilliantly done. Your heart it drops in that moment. And then the next scene you see is Seita. He's buying, something to cremate her. And this guy goes, oh, the guy's selling it to him. He goes, oh, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? And Seita's like, there's no such thing anymore. And he kind of burns her and he kind of looks up and you see that he's in the afterlife and you hear Setsuko, screaming for him, Seita, Seita, time for bed. He gives her the fruit drops and they have this great fourth wall break where Seita sort of looks at the camera, almost looking at the audience, and they kind of just pan away as you see the city and the fireflies in the background. I mean, absolute masterpiece. Now, I know this movie will be too deep for some, too sad for some. I hear you. I won't lie. I cried like a biatch when I first saw this movie, and I still probably do. Like, I rewatched the other night. I was fighting tears during that Home Sweet Home, and poor Setsuko playing with the the mud and the dirt, and oh my God, it's absolutely heartbreaking. It really is. This is one of the saddest movies I've ever seen, arguably the saddest. But at the same time, it's a great commentary on how, sad a situation is and how beautiful it can be. And Grave of the Fireflies is a beautiful film because of that. It has so much to say. And it's actually only like an hour and a half. It's a very deep movie, but it's one that I think everybody should experience at least once. I know if this is the classic, this is not for the faint of heart. Don't watch this if you fucking get upset by movies like, I know a lot of people have said, oh, Coco, Coco is, and I agree. Coco actually had a scene where I fucking cried. The Remember Me. I cried, like absolutely cried. This is more sad because it's like 90 minutes of that. It's just, there's no real moment of levity in this movie. It's just sad. They're playing with these fireflies at one point, and Setsuko has the line, why do fireflies die so soon? And you almost can think that's maybe foreshadowing of her situation. Why would a perfectly smart, healthy young child die so soon? And I think it's all of these aspects around it. It's the war. It's the lack of care from family, the lack of care from the doctors. The only one that cared was Seita, and he couldn't swallow his pride, And it's really heartbreaking movie. And even though they're going to die from the beginning, it just still packs the strongest punch, and it hits you right in the feels and your emotions. And it's, I think, a great movie, but it definitely is not for everybody. This is not for kids. I don't think I would ever show a kid this, like never. I saw this later in life, and I am glad I saw this later in life. I know quite a few people that will say it's too sad. I can't watch it. When I watch an anime or a children's film like this or from Ghibli, they don't want to watch something like this. I hear that, but I think this is the greatest Studio Ghibli movie of all time. I really do. I think from a filmmaking standpoint, the color palette, the use of symbolism, the small commentary that doesn't get away of you enjoying the movie. The voice performances, I love the English dub of this. I think that both of them do a great job. Of course, Setsuko and Seita. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful movie. I think a total 10 out of 10. Grave of the Fireflies, my number one favorite Studio Ghibli movie. Absolute. No ands, if or buts about it. Let's see. The suffering in this sounds delicious. My God. Yes, it is. If you like being sad, also it's on YouTube. This one is actually on YouTube in 1080p, weirdly enough. So if you want to watch it for free, you can watch it for free. You don't even need HBO Max for this one. Yeah, Grave of the Fireflies is extremely sad and depressing, but it is worth it. Yes, it is. I don't know what it is about it that draws me to it, because it's like I was saying before, how people will say I'm sappy for liking A Whisper of the Heart. Grave of the Fireflies is the exact opposite. I think on these two movies right here, you have each end of the spectrum when it comes to Ghibli. You have its most happy and its most sad. But I think they're both great for their own reasons. One is telling you to follow your dreams and listen to your heart. And, even if you love somebody, follow your dreams. And this one is really just the sad, depressing, commentary about this brother and sister who probably shouldn't have died the cruel death that they did, but they did anyway. And it's kind of left up to us to, analyze and watch and, see what went wrong and give our own thoughts of what maybe could have been done to change things. But at the end of the day, I think that's the whole thing. It was just a horrible situation. I don't think there was any changing this. Well, I think it hits more than they're going to die, because even when times are looking up for them, and although the brother tries with all his heart and soul, it's going to be in no avail. Exactly, yeah. Like he's trying to get this food from this farmer, and you've been stealing my crops, kid. And he beats the shit out of him, and he brings it to the police. You're coming with me. He's like, please, my sister, she's dying, she's starving. Please, you have to understand. And this guy doesn't care. That's my fucking crops. How dare you steal that? It's just like, dude, like the guy's sister's dying. Like, let him take it. Like, but again, I know I can hear people saying, well, what about him? What about the farmer's crops and his family? I hear you, but I mean, it just tears your heart out. It really does. My first script for my zombie film with more anti-war than this sounds a bit forced into war that he didn't want to fight, watching all his friends die and coming face to face with the undead. That's actually that's a good idea, Devin. That's really very interesting idea. That's really cool. That's something that you haven't seen that much in zombie movies. Something, of course, Romero hints on with Flyboy when, Ken Foree sees him. It's his friend. He doesn't want to shoot him, but he has to. Really good stuff. Dan Giuliani's in the house. What's goody, Grande? Dude, nothing much. We just wrapped up the top 5. I can go over them again with you since you just showed up. At number 5, we had possibly the most influential and one of the most popular in My Neighbor Totoro, a great feel-good 1980s family movie. Love it. At number 4, we had Whisper of the Heart. Beautiful coming of age story. Follow your dreams. Listen to your heart. Love Whisper of the Heart. At number 3, it was Castle in the Sky, a great 80s adventure movie with just really fun, colorful characters and beautiful art design. Just love Castle in the Sky. Spirited Away, which is most people's favorite. I think Ghibli's most ambitious film, a movie that has challenged so many and continues to inspire. And I think one of the best animated films ever made, one of the best anime movies. And then, of course, at number 1, I think the saddest movie of all time, Grave of the Fireflies. Most consider anti-war film, but I could just consider it just a true tragedy in its deepest, darkest form. I love Grave of the Fireflies, number 1. Well, sometimes the greatest emotion you can give somebody, it's making him cry, because in the audience will remember the movie. They might not rewatch it, but they remember it. And that's the thing with Grave of the Fireflies, man. Once you see this movie, you can't unsee it. It's really one of those, like, just the same way where Funny Games affected me. Like, there are a lot of movies where you see it and you can't unsee it. This is one where it's so depressing and down. There's no way you can turn it off and not think about it Like, it's an immediate, let me turn on SpongeBob. Let me turn on something with some fucking levity. Because this is a sad fucking movie, dude. It really is. Definitely gonna check some of these out. Yeah, totally, man. Totally. I think you should. Anybody who has HBO Max, you can watch these for free. Of course, some of them are free on YouTube in HD. Grave of the Fireflies. It's free on YouTube in HD. As a big anime fan, I gotta watch these. Dude, highly recommend. I wouldn't start with Grave of the Fireflies because it might depress you to the point of not watching any of these other movies. Definitely, I would start with one of the other 2 through 5 for sure. Hopefully one day I will get to make my zombie film, but until that day comes, I will keep working on stop motion. Hey man, whatever makes you happy, and that's the beauty of YouTube. You know, we can kind of let our passions go out for free. I actually know Dan is a huge fan of card collecting. Dan collects baseball cards, football cards, jerseys. He actually got a really cool, Pudge Carlton Fisk jersey signed. Really cool stuff. I showed this off before, Dan, the Articuno card I got, which I think Dan was actually at the premiere when they showed this movie and gave out these cards at the Pokemon with the I think it was Pokemon 2000, I believe it was. Really cool, though. So if I watched the movie, I need to probably immediately watch my favorite comedy, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Yes, if you watch Grave of the Fireflies, be prepared to watch something fun and light after it. Because it is, and what's crazy to me is even Ghibli knew, because these 2 movies were released as a double feature. And what I think is even crazier is they showed Totoro first. Imagine a fucking theater of kids going to see a 3-hour double feature. Totoro's first, one of the most light-hearted movies ever made. And then following up with this. Like, holy shit. And it's funny, on Monday I said, you know what? I'm going to do it in that order. And I watched Totoro first, and then I watched Grave of the Fireflies. It somehow does go together, but I would do it the reverse order. I would watch Fireflies first, then Totoro, to just, okay, there's some light. There's some good in the world again, you know? Like, but I think that's just wild. Like, I couldn't imagine going to the theater as a kid and seeing those 2 movies back to back. Number one, they're both great movies. But number 2, it's like they both couldn't be any more different in the same studio, same genre. But, I mean, that's it. Also recommend Kiki's Delivery Service in Ponyo. I love Kiki's Delivery Service. Ponyo is one. I saw it once when it came out. I don't remember it. I know a lot of people say that's their take on The Little Mermaid. I have not seen Ponyo in a long time, so I can't really say. I know another big one that people fucking love is Howl's Moving Castle. That was one that I don't know why. I consider it like, I don't know if we have a lot of Dario Argento fans in the house. Like, where Spirited Away is Suspiria, Howl's Moving Castle is Inferno. Even though they're not sequels, it's the same, like, he's going for the same thing, like the ambition and the color palette and, amazing visuals, but it doesn't have the same substance or oomph that Spirited Away does. If that makes any sense. It's Spirited, it's fucking Suspiria and Inferno. It really is the same thing. I was Lindenhurst Movie Theater, closed in 2002. That's right. That's so cool, man. And he has an awesome Pokemon card collection, Yu-Gi-Oh! Dan's got some cool shit. It'd be cool to see Dan if he ever made YouTube videos. It would be cool to like show your collection and shit. Maybe I'll just watch Impractical Jokers afterwards. Hey man, whatever floats your boat. Hey, just think about this. If you want happy ending for that movie, at least they got to be happy in the afterlife. And it's funny too, because they have smiles on their faces. Like you see Setsuko go, Seita, and she runs over, they hug, and they're sitting on the bench. Time for bed. Okay. And it's almost like for a minute you remember what we've been watching the whole movie, of them being alive and happy. And you're happy that they're at peace, but you almost in the back of your mind have to be thinking, well, damn it, at what cost? Like, at what cost, did these people die? Like, they could have lived happily ever after in the real life, not the afterlife. But that's what's so damn sad. Like, you watch them smiling and stuff in the afterlife, but you're like, they shouldn't have died. This could have been avoided. And I think that's why Setsuko and Seita, they look at the screen and they break the fourth wall as the film kind of pans away. They look, this this could have been avoided, but this is the outcome. And it's heartbreaking film. It's very different than the Little Mermaid premise, a little similar, but very, very, very different. Yes, I've seen it once, but I fucking don't remember it. Danks Domain, baby. Yes, anyone who has Instagram, Dan is on there. Danks Domain. He shows all the cards and patches and stuff that he has collected. Really cool stuff. If anyone has Instagram that wants to check out Dan's Danks Domain page, please do. It's very cool to any card collector out there. I don't like The Little Mermaid due to personal reasons. I was a girl. My name would have been Ariel. Would not have been good for me being a ginger in school. Holy shit, that's right. Man, that would have been fucking crazy. Only thing really similar is it's a person from the ocean coming to the land. Yeah, no, that's the thing. I remember that was the first one. Ponyo was the one in America that blew up. Like they got Matt Damon. They got that was the one I remember being released in the theaters with the English dub. Like Spirited Away probably did have an English dub run, but I don't remember it. Same with like Princess Mononoke, which came out in 97. I was born late 96. So Mononoke was during my time, but very much before. I wasn't walking when fucking Mononoke got released. So I don't know. That's another one people love. Mononoke I like, but not nearly as much as the top 5. Like not nearly as much as Castle in the Sky. I love Mononoke, but not as good as Castle in the Sky, man. I don't know. That's just me. And not even, I would say Nausicaa. I would put, where the hell is Nausicaa? I don't remember where I put, it's over here. I like Nausicaa slightly better because I would say the characters as a whole are better than Princess Mononoke, but I think Nausicaa is just a great movie, and I think I actually like the lead. I like Nausicaa better than Princess Mononoke as a character. I really like Nausicaa. Let's see. It's also 3-3 game right now between Finns and Ravens. Go Finns. The Steelers need to gain some ground. The zombies in my film mock the boy like deadites. Oh, that's awesome, man. But yeah, no. So that was the Studio Ghibli top 5. I hope everybody enjoyed. Next week, I promise we will return to horror talk. So everybody who was, with or without this horror burnout, I don't know, but I hope people enjoyed. Next week, we're doing horror movie failures that try to become franchises. So we'll be discussing all these movies that wanted to become this franchise, set out to be a franchise, and instead crumbled for whatever reason, whether it be good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. We're going to be talking about those. So movies that failed to create a franchise, and then my personal thoughts as to maybe why they failed, or, my personal thoughts about the movie itself. So that should be a fun topic. And also, Thanksgiving week, Ty Junebug, I don't know if he's still in the house, but we will be talking about the Rocky movies. So that's going to be a lot of fun day before Thanksgiving. So that's the rest of the schedule for November. Anybody who's interested, we should definitely have a freaking fun time doing those shows. So I'm super excited. Yeah, Mononoke is really good, but I think it could have been deeper and more complex. Yeah, no, maybe I'm due for a rewatch on Mononoke. That's not one I rewatched for this show because I was just like, let me rewatch the top 5. And I'm not going to watch 20 fucking movies to prep for this and make a top 5. Like some of them I had to go off memory, but these are pretty set in stone, the top 5. It was just hard. It was not an easy list to make. There's a lot of good Ghibli stuff out there. See you next time. Zombies Mox Pain. Okay. See you next time. Okay. Everybody, thank you so much. Cheers to a wonderful, safe, happy weekend. Cheers from the Iceman and me. We will catch you next week with the horror film failed franchise attempts. Yeah, say that 5 times fast. I bet you can. But thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. So, and we will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. Too sweet, peace, and we'll catch you next time. I don't know. Do we end? Did we end? Am I still live? Awkward. I don't know. Take a sip of the Iceman drink. I don't know if I'm still live, but thank you, Trenchy. I appreciate that. I don't know. Did my computer crash? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. There's only one people in the Heezy. I don't know if I crashed or not. I don't know. I'm still live. What the fuck? It says ending. Having trouble connection. Please check my connection. How the fuck am I still live then? Wow, I almost went through this whole show without saying the F word too. Shit, I fucked it up in the last minute. That sucks. I broke StreamYard. No. And I cursed on the Studio Ghibli film, on the Studio Ghibli stream. I don't know. I don't know why it won't end. I don't know. I've broken StreamYard. By God. I don't know. This is like a deleted scene. I don't know. This is why it was cut from the movie. I don't understand. What the fuck? I don't know. I don't know what do I have to end it on my phone? Should I go on my phone and end the stream? I don't know. This is so dang weird. All right, I'm going to try to go on my phone and do it. Hold on. StreamYard. This is so strange. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm on to 0 viewership. No, I don't want to delete the broadcast. Hold on. Enter studio. We'll try to end it from my phone, ladies and gents that are still here. Don't allow. Let's just join without. And then, all right, I'm going to try to end it on my phone.